Good morning, everyone. Before we begin our spiritual gathering, we're just going to take a few moments to share a few invitations and announcements with you. Today, we are one in so many ways, in creativity, as we've just seen, and also as we gather as spiritual communities in many places, but in particular, the community of SSUC gathering in Saskatoon in a home gathering today, and here in this circle, SSUC Edmonton. We sing ourselves into community. There's the first trick of the morning. How many of those syllables can you fit in those few notes? We welcome each of you to this time in which we pause with each other to consider how well we're loving, how fully we're living, and how deeply we're letting go. Welcome to this community that we create and recreate with each other every time we take our place to sing, to pray, to reflect, to read, to be silent, to share our experience with one another. And whether you're a spiritual seeker in this room or in a house gathering in Saskatoon, or joining us online from Toronto or Jasper or Kelowna or wherever you find yourself this morning, we welcome you and we invite you to take your place as one who is needed in this spiritual community for it to be all that it can be. Whatever your age or your gender or your sexual orientation or gender identity, race, ethnicity, your language, your religion, or none, there's a place here where you matter and where it matters to us that you take your place. We're gathering on Orange Shirt Day, something we'll hear a little bit more about later in our gathering. A day to deepen our commitment to live in reconciling ways, to honor the spirit in every child and the gifts of our Aboriginal peoples and culture. And we gather with gratitude on this storied land of Cree, Saulteaux, Blackfoot, Métis, Dene, Nakota Sioux peoples, native land to so many Aboriginal peoples and cultures, home to migrants who have come from all over the world, all of us, partners in Treaty 6. And as we gather, we light this candle that we might honor the light that is within each of us, that we might honor the light that is within every enduring spiritual tradition, that we might let go of the darkness of the wounding ways of our past and turn toward better words, better ways, greater kindness, deeper courage, that the light of healing ways might burn brightly in kindness, in gentleness, and with integrity. And we honor the light of this new day, placing this flame in our midst, a symbol of our intention to live in ways that seek the light of our greatest good, wherever we can find it. Reflect the light of love in so many different ways, and honor the light that lives within each one of us. Well, this is the time, and you know where the place is. Come on down to share a story with each other, to make a space for one another on the carpet. Come on down. Welcome, everyone. I don't know if you noticed on your way in today, but the leaves are doing a pretty cool thing out there. They are turning some amazing colors, kind of like the colors of some of your shirts. Some of them are even turning this bright red color. Very cool. I want to share with you a little story about a leaf. It's called the little yellow leaf, and this is his story. It was autumn, just like it is right now all around us, and in the hush of the forest, a lone yellow leaf clung to the branch of a great oak tree. "I'm not ready yet," thought the little yellow leaf, as a riot of fiery leaves chased and swirled round the tree. "Not yet," thought the little yellow leaf. As the afternoon sun beckoned and teased. "Not ready," thought the little yellow leaf, even as apples grew musky and pumpkins got heavy and flocks of geese took wing. "Still not," he thought, as the other leaves gathered into great heaps, crackly dry, where children were jumping in them. A chill filled the air, and the sun sank slow. "Not ready," thought the little yellow leaf, as a heavy harvest moon bloomed amber in the starry sky. "Not yet, not yet, not yet." Through the long night, snow flurried, and the little yellow leaf held fast to the great oak tree. Days passed, and still the little yellow leaf held tight. Alone, he searched the bare branches covered only with a shimmer of snow. He was all alone. And then high up on an icy branch, a scarlet flash. One more leaf holding tight. "You're here," called the little yellow leaf. "I am," said Scarlet Leaf. "Like me," said the yellow leaf. Neither spoke. Finally, one said, "Will you?" The little scarlet leaf asked. "I will," said the little yellow leaf. And 1, 2, 3, they let go. Into the waiting wind they danced off and away and away and away. Together. The end. I wonder what happened next. It's really hard to do some things. Some things are really scary, especially things we do for the first time. And we can find the courage together, just like the little yellow leaf did with the scarlet leaf. Kid Spirit is one of those places where we find courage together. So today, you're going to have a wonderful time with each other. Kid Spirit in the small hall, and a program for 3- and 4-year-olds in the program room 3, and Youth Cafe will be back next week. So have a wonderful morning, everybody.
Now there was a Pharisee named Nicodemus, a leader among his people, the Jews. He came to Jesus under the cover of darkness and said to him, "Rabbi, we know that you are a teacher who has come from the great and holy oneness. For no one can do what you do unless they are in touch with that sacredness." Jesus answered him, "Truly I tell you, no one can experience the realm of the sacred without being born again." Nicodemus said to him, "How can anyone be reborn after having grown old? Can one enter a second time into the mother's womb and be born? How can these things be?" In this ancient story, may we find wisdom.
It's been a long time since we've heard the words of Mary Oliver. So today's the day. In her work in Blackwater Woods, "Look, the trees are turning their own bodies into pillars of light, are giving off the rich fragrance of cinnamon and fulfillment. The long tapers of cattails are bursting and floating away over the blue shoulders of the ponds. And every pond, no matter what its name is nameless now. Every year, everything I have ever learned in my lifetime leads back to this: the fires and the black river of loss whose other side is salvation, whose meaning none of us will ever know, To live in this world, you must be able to do three things. To love what is mortal. To hold it against your bones, knowing your own life depends on it. And when the time comes, to let it go. To let it go. In the thoughts of this poet, hands down, no contest, without a doubt, autumn is my most favorite season of the year. I don't even have any runners-up. I love the changing colors in the grasses and the trees. I love the fields tidied with their rounds of hay that's been baled. I love the cool, crisp air. I love the film of frost. I love the slant of the sun, the harvest moon, the beauty of the trees all decked out in their best colors. I even love the smell of the woods. Why is it that death only smells good in the woods? Every season bears its unique beauty. The mysteries of spring as life emerges against all odds. The abundance and the extravagance of summer. The quiet white wonder of winter. But I think part of my affinity with autumn is its paradox. It has always in my life been associated with beginnings. The start of a new school year. The beginning of a new program year. The start of something new, a new cycle. And yet it is inescapably the season of endings. The growing season is over, and our gardens are finished, and the salmon are swimming upstream to spawn and to die, and the geese are gathering in the fields, wave after wave, high overhead, taking their leave of us again. And the trees are losing the leaves they've loved all year. And the flowers have yielded to frost and to snow, and daylight's growing shorter in our hemisphere. All these beloved teachers of the natural world are on the same page with the same lesson plan. It's time to learn to let go again. And we know how hard it is to let go of a lifetime of stuff we accumulate, to let go of control, or at least the illusion of it, to let go of hurt, to let go of our grievances, to let go of our guilt, to let go of habits and patterns, to let go of painful and debilitating memories, to let go of the way things used to be, to let go of our expectations of ourselves and of each other. It's hard to let go. And it seems to me that this spiritual lesson has been in the curriculum of all the great wisdom traditions. Maybe that's why a first-century writer gave us that story we heard a few moments ago, the story Charles read for us, written some 60 years after the execution of Jesus. This conversation between Jesus and Nicodemus, a conversation between a mystic and a scholar, may have been a conversation that was constructed as a teaching device. And if we think of this story as a parable, rather than an historic memory, we might hear something significant about the nature of being spiritual beings in a human experience. Scholars would tell us that this conversation was the product of a first-century Jewish mystic writing under the name of John, who was writing at the very end of the first century, maybe even the beginning of the second century. It's a story that's instructive to us about the time when the followers of the way of Jesus began to be disaffiliated from their synagogues, began to be growing out and beyond the understandings of the Judaism that had shaped Jesus of Nazareth and had shaped his earliest followers. It's a story that tells us much about the way in which these spiritual seekers were struggling to let go and holding on in some unhealthy ways to the tradition out of which their movement was born. This writer of John's Gospel casts Nicodemus a member of the Pharisees, as a conversation partner for Jesus. Nicodemus, who was the custodian of a great tradition, the guardian of an ancient religious practice. He was a scholar others would have come to for answers. But he seems to be afraid of his own questions. And perhaps even more afraid to risk letting go of his rabbinically and rigidly defined religion to explore an undefined spirituality, even though it intrigued him. And they make a brave attempt at an impossible conversation, a dialogue between a mystic and a literalist, between one who was possessed of a spirituality shaped by letting go, with another who was possessed of a religion defined by its hold on a fixed tradition. A conversation between an itinerant spiritual seeker and one who was the representative of the established religious tradition. And the writer has Jesus suggest to Nicodemus that he could only awaken to the mystery of being fully alive, body, mind, and spirit. He could only awaken to living a life that matters by giving himself again to the experience of birth. But Nicodemus couldn't wrap his literal, linear, logical mind to grasp the metaphor that was staring him in the face. He got hung up on the image of trying to squeeze himself, his full-grown body, back into his mother's womb, missing the meaning that if he wanted to engage a spiritual life, he had to awaken again to the mystery of birth, of being born again and again and again, every day, in every moment, to be delivered from the womb of security in which he'd taken refuge, from the womb of answers to questions no one was asking anymore, to the womb of authority, of living inside the shelter of his laws and his traditions and his practices, his doctrine. Basically, he had to give himself to the process of birth, to letting go of the safe shelter of the womb in order to trust the dark passage that would open into the ambiguity and messy reality of being truly alive. To live life as a spiritually awake human being will always ask us to keep leaving the womb of our present attachments, to keep letting go of our closely guarded ideas, our treasured beliefs, and give ourselves to the vulnerable journey of opening to the mystery in which we live and move and have our being. It's about the birthing of consciousness, the awakening of spirit that comes from the kind of openness that allows oneself to be newly born to each moment, to each day, to each experience, to every relationship, to be ever like a newborn, meeting the world with wonder, with awe, inviting discovery, and requiring trust and faith. And it's by letting go that we're born again and again. It's by letting go that we live. And birth is our very first opportunity to learn this spiritual practice of letting go. To learn that the nature of life is always about leaving one place for another, one stage of life for another, one understanding in life for another, one time in life for another. To be born, we have to loosen our grip and go with the flow of life's river. And paradoxically, Life both begins and ends with letting go. Birth is only possible if we let go of our cramped, wet quarters where we're warm and we're dark. It's not a letting go in which we are quick to choose. Generally, our small bodies have to be pushed out of the comfort to which they cling, and to be squeezed with great resistance through a narrow passage into a lifetime of learning how to let go. And death, too, requires us to let go of what was, of what is, what might have been, to let go of what is seen and known by seeing, to embrace a kind of becoming that is beyond the dependence on breath. And every moment between birth and death is about learning to let go and hold loosely these fragile threads with which our lives are woven. Shirley Merrily Oliver is right. To live in this world, to be alive in this world, we have to be able to do three things: to love what's mortal, to hold it against our bones, knowing our own life depends on it, and when the time comes, to let it go. And it takes a lifetime of practice to learn to let it go, to let go of stimulation and learn how to allow ourselves to sleep, to let go of our parents' hand and to learn to walk on our own, to let go of our infancy and our childhood and our adolescence and our middlescence and our elderhood, to let go of the best and the worst of times, to let go of our illusions and delusions, of our slights and our hurts, our grudges and grievances, even our rage and our hate. To find our lives by letting go of them. To let go of this moment so we can be born again into the next one. And there are teachers all around us, especially in this season. The trees are ready to instruct us again that there is grace and beauty in letting go. That leaves don't just drop, they let go. And in doing that, they make a space for seeds to grow. We are born again this day into the spiritual practice of learning to let go. In things great and small, in this moment of silence that we'll hold with one another, where do we need to trust that life will emerge again as it always has? In our letting go. Where do we need to release our hold, trusting that life and love will carry us safely beyond our grip? That we're held by a mystery that we can't seize or grasp. A mystery that invites us to hold on to the things that matter most, to loving well and living fully and cherishing the loves that have held us in our lives. This is a moment to ask ourselves, what is it in life, what is it in this moment that's inviting us to find our lives in letting go? When we gather with one another, we seek to strengthen our intentions, to live in ways that resonate with truth deep within us, with values we cherish and hold dear. So I invite us in that spirit to offer these words together as a way of praying our intentions with one another. We seek to breathe deeply into this moment of letting go. We long to have been and embrace the miracle of what is. Amid harsh news and urgent cries, may we be attentive to the grace of what can set free and what we must hold closely. May we cultivate a sense of humor that adds perspective to compassion, gratitude that adds persistence to courage, quietness of spirit that adds irrepressibility to hope, and openness of mind that adds surprise to joy. May it be so. Each time we gather is also a time for gratitude, to thank you for all the ways that you create and support and expand this community and its work and its witness to love and compassion and justice in our world. Thank you for the ways you give of your time and of your talents, of your abilities, of your thoughts, of your life experience, and for the ways you give of your financial support. And just a reminder that this community is supported totally by the givings that we are able to share with one another and the monies that we are able to raise through our efforts with one another. We don't receive any government grants or any grants from the United Church of Canada or from any other body. We support those things that we are passionate about. And we invite your support either in cash or checks at the box that you find at the back of the room, or online on our website, or by pre-authorized remittances, or by purchasing grocery cards, which are available in the foyer. As we gather, we also have the time and opportunity to take a minute in our gathering to reflect on the work of reconciliation. Pat's going to come and share with us a little bit about Orange Shirt Day.
Good morning. I'm Pat Seal, and I'm with the Southminster Steinhauer's Truth and Reconciliation Commission Response Group. This group was founded after the national event in Edmonton because we felt that we wanted to continue with the work of process of truth-telling, working towards reconciliation, and to do what we could to respond to the 94 calls of actions that the Commission had in its final report. So this is one of the things that our group does, is try to keep the congregation informed on what is going on. And today we're going to look at Orange Shirt Day, which is a day to affirm that everyone matters, and to share, and I will share a bit of the background about how it came to be. It is the legacy of an event that was held at St. Joseph's Mission Residential School as a commemoration event in Williams Lake, BC, in the spring of 2013. It grew out of hearing a story from one of the residential school students. Her name was Phyllis, and about her having a shiny new orange shirt taken away on her first day at the mission school. And at that time, she gave a bit of her story, so I'm going to read how she remembers it. I went to the mission for one school year in 1973 to 74. I had just turned 6 years old. I lived with my grandmother on the Dog Creek Reserve. We never had much money, But somehow my granny managed to buy me a new outfit to go to the mission school. We bought a shiny orange shirt. It had strings laced up the front, and it was so bright and exciting, just as I felt as I was going to school. When I got to the mission, they stripped me, took away my clothes, including the orange shirt. I never wore it again. I don't understand why they wouldn't give it back to me. It was mine. The color orange has always reminded me of that, and how my feelings didn't matter, how no one cared, and how I felt like I was worth nothing. All of us little children were crying, and nobody cared about us. This story has, in effect, gone viral since 2013, and has led to the fact that September the 30th has been declared Orange Shirt Day annually across Canada, in recognition of the harm that the residential school system did to children's sense of self-esteem and well-being, and as an affirmation of our commitment to ensure that everyone around us matters. The date was chosen because it is the time of year in which children were taken from their homes to the residential schools, and because it is an opportunity to set the stage for anti-racism and anti-bullying policies for the coming year. Orange Shirt Day has also become an opportunity for First Nations, local governments, schools, and communities to come together in the spirit of reconciliation and hope for the new generation of children to come. Orange Shirt Day, as we can see, is not just for schools and students. We come and many of us are wearing our orange shirts either on our backs or in our hearts. And I want to thank you for doing that. We come together in a spirit of reconciliation and hope for generations of the children to come. If, on a sort of broader sense, if you want to know more about reconciliation-related articles, events, and education sessions, we have a folder in the foyer that you can look at, and thanks to Jill, she keeps it up to date with something every week. It's just amazing how much reconciliation events are happening in the Edmonton area. There's also a section on the bulletin board on your way to the washroom where there's some posters of upcoming events. If you want to be part of our reconciliation response group, let me or one of the members of our group know, and we can put you on our distribution list. Sometimes we try to carpool to go to events, so if you'd like to connect up with us, let us know. Thank you.
Want to see in the world, be the change you want to see in the world, be the change you want to see in the world, and change will come to you. Be the voice you want to hear in the world, be the voice you want to hear in the world, be the voice
One of the great creation myths we cherish in our tradition is shaped around that very powerful word, let. Let there be light. Let the waters above be separated from the waters below. Let there be fish. Let there be birds. Let there be life. It's a powerful, small word, a permission-giving word, a word that sometimes requires that we let go of something else, let go of the darkness, so that there might be light, or let go of the flame, so that there might be smoke. One thing yields to another as we let go and travel on in an evolving world, a world of growth and letting go.